Hi, Amy.
I mean,
You are there. Okay, good. We just watched Match Me Abroad Season 2, Episode 13, which was like a really long episode.
it seemed like it. Very dramatic.
Lots of things happened. I couldn't believe how much they packed into this single hour, 45 minutes-ish. It was jam-packed full of drama and stuff.
Unexpected twists and turns and questionable behaviors.
So questionable. I need to give, I was going to say spanking, but no violence. So somebody needs a stern talking to.
Fair.
Am I right?
Yes,
Yes.
you are right.
Okay. Before we jump in, let's talk about some comments that we got from our listeners this past week.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, here we go. Kimberly Joe, always a favorite of ours. Would you like to sponsor me on a trip to Match Me Abroad? You can help me choose and date. It would be so much fun.
I think that would be absolutely phenomenal.
What do you think about becoming matchmakers? Dropping everything and just matching people for love.
I don't think I would be good at it.
Come on. Yes, you would.
I don't know. Like, I'd like to think that I'm a fairly good judge of character, but
You
when it
are.
comes to, you know what? I say this, and yet my two best friends are engaged, and I've been trying to set them up for years. And okay, those three friends that I have set up who are either engaged and or married who are still together after 15 plus years.
Proven track record. You
Damn
can't
it.
beat that.
You proved me wrong.
See?
Maybe I would be okay at it. Do you think you'd be good at it?
I like to think so, yes, because
Yeah.
I love people in love and I like to make people happy. I do have a brain in my head, so
You
that
do.
helps.
You do. I can confirm that. Yes. I mean, I haven't seen it myself, but I, I
I
know that it
hope you
exists.
never will.
God.
Yes, so the only thing missing here is an infinite source of cash
Yes.
from which we can actually travel and bring Kimberly Joe along with us to Ireland or wherever she desires to go to meet her beloved. So one day we will summon her on our matchmaking journey.
Or maybe not, because who knows when those funds are going to present themselves.
Life has its twists and turns, as we discovered watching this episode. You never know. All right, next. Somebody commented from 2 episodes ago, episode 11. Remember when Louisa went to the cafe and she was waiting for Tony, and we were a little bit concerned for her?
Mm-hmm.
So we got this comment, which I'm not even sure if it showed up on Spotify, which is where these are all coming from, because it was listed as inappropriate or sensitive, but it's not. This person, K Fox, says, even if she's protected, Louisa, it doesn't mean him, what's his face, attempting to attack her won't cause distress. Absolutely. Not physically attacking her, but verbally attacking her.
Mm-hmm.
Verbal violence is as insidious as physical violence.
Absolutely agree. And especially because she comes from, like she said, one of her previous relationships, she's dated a guy exactly like him.
Yeah.
We don't need to expose her or re-traumatize her with that kind of behavior from that kind of man. So I completely agree with that comment.
As do I. Totally. There's more than one way to cause distress in somebody, and it doesn't have to involve using your body. Next, our final comment. Where did it go to? Also about episode 11 from Tweely, who says, I very much agree that this EJ might be a very nice man, but I'm also not buying everything he is selling. Something about both of them, meaning him and Sarah, feels off. What she says she wants and her actions do not totally match. I thought that about most of these love seekers this season. I have been there too, so I understand.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder what she thinks he's hiding.
Ooh. Well, we didn't really find out in this episode if there was any other hidden agenda from EJ or Sarah, but I agree. Like, you just don't know, really. That's part of the problem of this show, is that they don't spend enough time together to get to know each other to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, anything further, or shall we just dive right in?
Well, do you want me to make the announcement now?
Oh, yes, I almost forgot. Please announce.
We have scheduled an interview with EJ Phillip The EJ who is currently dating Sarah on Match Me Abroad. This is going to be aired on September 28th, which is a Sunday. Time to be determined, but it will be released on September 28th. So, yes, to our listeners, we will be interviewing a man who is currently on Match Me Abroad. This is going to be so incredibly exciting, hopefully enlightening. I've been excited about this for weeks now, so I'm glad I can finally get it out there.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I'm so excited to welcome EJ to our podcast and to talk with him about what his experience was like on Match Me Abroad. We should mention that if any of our listeners have any burning questions that they really want answered by EJ, please send them to us. Either send us a message on Spotify, leave a comment, leave a message on Instagram, on Facebook, or you can get to us via our Gmail, which is 90dayhonestly at gmail.com. And we cannot wait to have him here to see what he has to say about Sarah, Singapore, the show, the other people on the show. So be
Well, the
sure to
list
tune
is
in.
already it's getting pretty long. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, calm, calm, Amy. We have one last piece of business to get to before we dive into the absolute drama that was this week's episode. And that's the one, too. One, rate, review, and follow us wherever you listen to the podcast. Two, watch us on YouTube at 90 Day Fiancé Honestly. Let's get started in Ireland with both Amber and Victoria on their double date.
Imagine my surprise because I wasn't watching. I was just listening. I'm like, there's a lot more voices involved, and they all sound from. I was very confused.
Okay.
I thought it was cute that they went on a double date.
I thought it wasn't cute that Amber chose Mr. Eyebrows as her date. She is leaning towards Mr. Eyebrows as her final choice, unfortunately. And she tells us that she is about to put Kevin into the friend zone. And it was interesting to see and hear how Victoria was picking up on what Glenn was putting out there. Mr. Eyebrows is a show off, she says. He's wearing more makeup than Victoria is, and he's borrowing Amber's makeup to touch up his face. These are red flags to me. Would you not agree?
I 100% agree. I was about to say something, and then all I could see were his eyebrows, and I can hear you just say, oh my God, those eyebrows. Yeah, that's my lack of thought.
Excellent. Well, Darren, Victoria's date, he's been invited to visit her in New York, and he has accepted the invitation. But the point at which he and Victoria find themselves in their relationship, they do not want to attach any labels to it. There's also not been any kissing yet. Problematic.
But I think they said that from both sides, for both couples, right?
Glenn and Amber have kissed. They kissed on their very first date.
Well, they did. Okay. Anyway, I was just thinking about how, Monica ends up making out with everyone.
The thing that they do have in common, Amber and Victoria, is that they both don't want to label their relationships. Is that
And I
what
think
you were
that's
thinking of?
fair because it's only been like a couple, like a week or two, or,
Yeah.
a couple dates at least. And why do you need to have that label, that definition? What is that going to give you? I mean, unless you're going to talk about being exclusive and you're not going to see anyone else.
Well, it's a sense of security, right? Just like we see in Harold, who wants to lock it down with Amber before he leaves Singapore. And even when we watch EJ and Sarah, it seems like she wants to have some sort of commitment from him before she leaves to go back to the States. Everybody wants a label, except for these two women.
I mean, I can see it from both sides, is what I'm saying.
The problem seems to be, though, that because Victoria and Darren have not had any physical connection at all yet, there's been no kissing, she's starting to clue into the fact that maybe this is an indicator that their relationship, quote unquote, is not stable enough to survive her going back to New York. And maybe they need to get past that barrier before she leaves, if there is any chance for them to have any future.
Well, I think they need to talk about the future before they can even consider how they're going to define it.
Yeah, but it also helps if they kiss first.
That too. Like, do you have that sexual chemistry in addition to, just the chemistry with your personalities and energy?
I don't think they really do. I just see this as a friendship.
Mhm.
I see them as having a good buddy old time together, but not feeling a romantic connection at all.
Yeah.
I just don't see any spark between them when they're at this cooking date, which by the way, fantastic idea, cooking date, love that. And I don't feel like they are leaning towards each other, brushing up against each other. There's none of that going on at all. It's just a couple of people having fun and that's it.
Bros being bros.
If you like, sure.
I don't know. Anyway, dinner looked delicious, but I wondered where the salad was.
As always. So, Mr. Eyebrows, he's talking about going to the US to visit Amber. He seems raring to go. Sure, I'll go. I've got a laptop. My business is transportable. I can work from anywhere. They ask if he would leave when she does, which I guess is in a day or two. And he says, yep, I'll go right away. See if things work. I believe him to be completely out of his mind and or just doing things for the camera.
Oh, it's all just lip service. Anyway, going back to that food. Was that a shepherd's pie? Was it a cottage pie? Because it was made with beef and not lamb.
I guess. I don't eat meat. I don't know.
I believe that's the distinction. Shepherd's pie is made with lamb. Cottage pie is made with typically beef, but it could be any other kind of ground meat. Correct me if I'm wrong, listeners. That's my understanding. Sorry, moving
And
on.
and the bread. Don't forget the Irish soda
Yeah.
bread.
Oh, yes.
Yum, yum, yum. All right. Does Amber have any doubts about where she stands with Glenn? She says she doesn't want to rush, but she also says that she thinks that Mr. Eyebrows is exactly what she needs.
Mm, mm.
To which I say, excuse me, Amber.
Madam,
Very, very sorry to interject. No, not in a million years. Not the guy for you. When? When are these women going to finally listen to the matchmaker's advice and choose the guy who is good for them?
common
Anyone?
theme. Common theme.
Anyone? Yes, very much so. And then they go out as a group together to a club, but then things start to unravel from there.
This was a disaster.
I did not understand what was going on. It sounded so horrific, especially for Amber. So she is with this group of people. They're going out to a club. Then she's all alone. Her date has gone. Victoria and Darren have disappeared. So she makes her way back to her hotel.
After texting him several times, even
She has,
before she left.
yes, she texted him both before she left and after she arrived at her hotel. No response. Then she sees on his social media that he's out partying and he's posting pictures of himself at other clubs. What?
The thought process behind that is completely lost on me. She said she turned around and then he was gone. And I was in the bathroom. Yeah, but I texted you and I told you exactly where I was. And then he responds back saying, well, I texted you 3 times. And she got all up in his business. I really appreciated the way that she accosted him. Pulls out her phone. Where did you send me these 3 messages? Because there are none. And he didn't like that she called him out on his BS. But his response was so triggering for me, just so narcissistic. And I could feel my own blood boil. So when she knocked the drink out of his hand, and she even knocked her own drink over, I mean, at that point, flipped the whole table over. But I was just so glad that she got out of there.
Absolutely. I kind of want to dissect this bit by bit because it is such an incredibly predictive pattern that narcissists exhibit. So, leaving aside the part where he just ditched her because he wasn't finding her entertaining enough, obviously, doesn't hold himself accountable like a normal person would and respond to her text or say, are you okay? Did you get home all right? I'm really sorry. None of that. No, he cannot be wrong. That's a very key point. He lies to her face when they're sitting down at the pub when it comes to talking about the text messages. He acts confused. What are you talking about? How you can't possibly know what I was doing or thinking or what my feelings were. Where does this come from? As
Making
if,
your question yourself.
Yes, making you think you're the crazy one. He's very specifically trying to rewrite history so that he appears to be the good guy and she's the bad guy. He will not apologize. No, 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 not for anything. Then he tells her, "You need to calm down.
Love that
You
so much.
need to calm down." When she tries to hold him responsible for his actions, pulls out the proof as he's gaslighting her that she did not text him, he brings out the big guns. "You need to calm down. Your emotions are out of control. I'm the calm one here, but you clearly are not." I love that. And then the next one, self-victimization. "You are insulting me. You're the one who's throwing around these words.
You're
How dare
calling
you?
me a liar.
You're labeling my behavior as a jerk. You're the one who's calling me an asshole. You're the bad guy. I'm the victim."
Poor me. You insane woman coming at me with your emotions.
And meanwhile, this grin on his face, like he's won,
God.
like he's winning, like you are proving every single point that I'm making, crazy lady who needs to
Mhm.
calm down, to the point where her emotional response is now so high because she's being gaslit, she's being labeled crazy, she has to calm down. He's not admitting any wrongdoing. He's throwing everything back at her that she's trying to get a response from him. And then she smacks the drink out of his hand, which obviously, no condoning of violence. That is not a good move.
We don't
But
condone that, nor do we condone alcohol abuse.
absolutely, abuse of alcohol is terrible, whether it's in your body or on the floor. But my consolation to Amber is, you have finally seen the truth about this man. Hurrah, hooray.
Finally.
Mr. Eyebrows can go to hell and
Never mind.
enjoy his ride all the way down there.
But he's gonna smile the entire time.
Of course.
And he's gonna be that guy that's like, "Oh, this is fine."
What a shit pile.
Yeah, and then it gets worse.
Because
I mean, with Amber.
it gets worse with Amber. How? What? Because she left.
She left with Darren, and then the next what?
Victoria. You're talking about Victoria.
Am I?
Yes.
You know, I saw the name Amber, but yet I said Victoria.
That's my ears. It's my ears. Excuse me. It's my problem.
Am I talking about the right person?
Victoria. Yes, you are.
Okay.
Please continue.
Okay,
Please.
anyway, things got worse for her, my sweet girl. I don't remember how their night ended, but no, he was supposed to come over for her last night. He said, "I'll be there by such and such a time." Doesn't show up. She messages him, and then she gives up around 2 a.m. I probably would have given up at 10 p.m., if not earlier than that, because that is bedtime, unless I'm actually out doing things. So she gave him more than enough. And she's stuck at the hotel waiting to figure out whether or not he's going to show up to drive her to the airport.
Now, did we not in the first instance where he didn't show up for their date, did we not see the irony here in her being ghosted?
Shoot, that was completely lost on me.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Hilarious and awful at the same time. And now every time she looks at that tattoo, she's going to remember being ghosted.
Yes.
Literally and figuratively. I mean, hopefully not literally because that would mean death, but you know what I mean? Figuratively and figuratively. Like, anyway, take my microphone away from me right now.
So Darren also seems to be a pièce de merde.
Just running away. What is this?
What did they do? What did they drink? What did they ingest? Both Darren and Glenn have gone completely wild and turned into these massive assholes.
Yeah, I wonder if there were drugs involved.
Hmm.
Party drugs.
Maybe. Maybe.
My lord, it just almost came out of my mouth, but both of these guys did the Irish goodbye.
I don't know that one. What's an Irish goodbye?
When you just don't say anything and you peace out.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Irish goodbye. All right. So same as ghosting.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. But anyway, with these two, just peace.
I want to see the silver lining for both of them. For Amber, I already said it's that she's found out what Glenn's true character is. For Victoria, I felt that it was more along the lines of when she's talking about how she feels about this and she's really upset because it's triggering her emotionally and historically because of her dad. She's recognizing these patterns and she wants to share that information with Darren, which I think is great because that's a really good way for her to work through those patterns and release them, to
Yes.
recognize them, to label them, to say, I know what this is. And this is how you made me feel. I think that's wonderful.
I think that is going to be an incredible resolution for her in her relationship with Darren, to identify the behaviors, the patterns, to break the patterns, to call them out when given the opportunity. And then you can release it and heal because now you've called it out. Now you've
Yeah.
broken that pattern. I felt so empowered for her when she was packing and she was getting so angry and she was explaining why she was so angry. And I felt so proud for her for finding her confidence to be able to say, I want to say this to him. He will not just leave me like this. I will tell him how I feel. I loved that.
I love that too, but it's not just a let me dump this on him and shower him with my anger. It's not
Mhm.
that. Like she wants to express herself and she says she's open to hearing what he thinks and how he feels and what he experienced, what's been going on. So I love that she's holding a space for him, even in the face of her very heightened emotions.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Very adult.
Again, empowering,
Hmm.
taking back that control while also still living in your own character with your kindness and compassion.
Yeah, it's
Very
beautiful.
beautiful. Very beautiful.
I'm gonna
So,
cry.
I mean, it sucks that either one of these women had to go through that, though I'm very glad that they did so that they were able to come to their own decisions.
Growth. All
Yes.
about the growth.
Love that.
Shall we read on?
My God. Okay, yeah. Sorry, just saw my notes.
Oh, this is so annoying.
Painful.
Monica, as expected, as predicted, as we knew she would. She second guesses herself into rejecting Bruno and more than likely pursuing Bernardo again.
God, this when she was talking about choosing Bruno, I could hear it in her voice how non-committal she was. Just so lacking confidence and
Yeah.
with remorse. I'm like, "No, woman. No, you're not gonna do this. No, you're not gonna give up this man who you admit checks every box and is the man that you should be with." And yet, at no point did you look within yourself and think, why am I feeling so forlorn about this man who doesn't meet any of my requirements? There was no introspection. There was no nothing.
No.
It was just her feeling, her feeling. Okay, now I have to make a decision. My good Lord, woman, you need so much therapy. You need help. And the fact that she called Bruno instead of calling Louisa, I think even if she called Louisa, she wouldn't listen to her anyway, because she hasn't
No.
listened to a damn thing that Louisa has tried to tell her or guide her or anything. But God,
As you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, but isn't this the trauma pattern that she is in, where she's used to the men who treat her badly? That's what she complained about when we first met her. I went back and I rewatched episode 1 again today because I wanted to remind myself of how she positioned her desire for a future partner. So she's used to men using her and casting her aside very easily, going on to the next one, the next one, the next one. And in Bruno, she breaks that pattern, which her brain, her neurological pathways, her body is not used to, is not familiar with, does not understand. And so she finds it boring and lackluster and uninteresting. But when she has Bernardo, the guy who puts her on an emotional roller coaster so that she feels fantastic and lustful 1 minute and then like a pile of poop the next because he backs out on their date, then her brain goes, yes, oh, familiar pattern. Yes, comfort, ease. This is what I'm used to. This is what I should be doing.
It's thriving in the chaos of familiarity.
Yeah. Wow. But she completely talks herself out of having a relationship with Bruno, even though they had that romantic date on the beach that we saw a little tiny clip of where he's talking about how he would love to come to the States and meet her daughter, which is a dagger to the heart. Like, he's so sweet and perfect. And she runs away from that. She runs away from a real chance to find love. This is self-sabotage to the nth degree.
Yeah, I felt so bad for Bruno. Like, he deserves so much more.
Yes.
I'm glad that he didn't sit there and grovel too much. I mean, he did a bit, but tried to challenge her decision, but she was having none of it. And that reminds me of after her first date with Bruno, how she called Bernardo bawling her eyes out about how she feels like she cheated on him. Like, she was so emotionally invested in him from the very beginning. And I think Louisa's test of, throw the man who you would typically go for first before the man who you should probably be with. I think that Monica she just allowed that to blow up in her face. She didn't listen to any of the lessons. She hasn't grown in any capacity.
I find it just remarkable when she says, I'm I'm making these logic-based decisions. This is my new pattern. I've always been emotionally driven and I've always gone with my heart and my gut, but now I'm making a sensible choice by thinking about this rationally. I'm like,
Mm-mm.
girl, opposite, opposite. No, no, no. You're doing the same thing.
No, she's making this decision based on a trauma bond or
Yeah.
bond with the trauma
Yeah.
response.
And then I thought, like you did, it would have been so great if she had spoken with Louisa first, because Louisa would have been able to step outside the emotion and say to her, look, do you really think in this moment that Bernardo was thinking about you the way that you're thinking about him? Honestly? Is
Like
he pining for you?
he probably forgot about her the second that he left that meeting.
Yep. The second that he left the meeting where he showed absolutely zero interest and zero effort in trying to win her, meh. Such
I
a
don't
disappointment.
I don't know. There's not gonna be a tell all for this, is there?
No, there isn't typically a tell-all. Anyway, the way she explains, "I'm not right for you." Well, she is right about that because
Mhm.
she can't appreciate Bruno. She
Yes.
can't see him for what he is, and my gosh, he deserves better than that.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. He deserves so much more. He just seems like such a kind man.
Mhm. And I love also the way that Bruno showed so much emotion when she finally said that she was breaking up with him, in stark contrast to the show we did yesterday, where we were talking about Ibrahim and Zena and how she broke up with him. They were fiancéed at the time, supposedly, and he did not shed a tear. Like, this is a true emotional reaction to being broken up with. What we saw on 90 Day UK, not emotional, not invested. Bruno was in this. He had set his heart in her hands and she smushed it.
Great comparison.
So it's clear what's next. She's going to try to win Bernardo back. The classic, the grass is always greener on the other side, wanting what you can't have, never satisfied with what's in front of you,
My
etc.
prediction is they're gonna hook up, she's gonna leave, he's gonna string her along for a bit, and then he's also gonna ghost her. Because he is no use for her when she's not there.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, self-fulfilling prophecy right there.
Way to go, Monica. Woohoo.
Way to learn nothing.
Yay. And you know what really touched me the most about rewatching episode 1 was the parts where her daughter was talking about how she so much wants her mom to find love because she can no longer be her emotional support person.
Yes.
Mom is depending on her daughter too much, to the point where it seems like the daughter's not really able to go out and flourish and have her own life. And Monica is draining her emotionally the way a parent should not interfere in their child's life. So I feel even more sad for the daughter knowing that this has happened. Monica's completely gone off the rails or stayed on the rails, if you like, following her same patterns and thrown away this giant opportunity to meet somebody fantastic.
Nah, she's just a disappointment.
Let us read on because Harold does not disappoint, does he?
Harold does not. I love when he's talking to Amber and then he has like his super serious face. And then he's like, huh? And then he's like reminding himself to smile and then back to being serious so that he can actively listen to her. Yeah, he's so cute. I love him so much. And I
I
also
love
love
this.
Amber. I want to say that.
Yes. Yeah, they're both very, very sweet and lovable. The idea of romantic cruise, beautiful, fantastic idea. This is heart-melting stuff, and I love the mathematical approach that he took to choosing this as the format for his last date, weighing his odds for having had such great dates on boats before, so he wants to continue that success arc.
That was just so cute. I love the idea of having dinner on the boat. It didn't look like it was too busy. They didn't have to yell over anyone else, which they probably wouldn't have, filming. But the two of them, I love the way that they communicate with each other, how they both listen. I think Amber looked absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if she did something with her hair or if it was her dress, but she looked so beautiful. And I thought it was so heartwarming, her sharing that he asked about her friend Jo and just like, "Oh, she's good, and I think that you would really get along with all of my friends, and, I hope that I would get along well with yours." And they talked about, like, meshing the friendships, and I can't imagine how big of a relief that would have been for Harold to hear because he was really worried about meeting her. Jo, I mean.
Yes.
I thought it was just so adorable, and then they had they had a couple little joke things.
I agree. I love the joking around. We see this with the couples that really get along together, that have actual chemistry, that there's a lot of witty repartee. There's little pokes and prods at each other to tease one another. And even Amber admits we have really good chemistry together. And I was like, wow,
Love that.
amazing, excellent. But Harold has to tell her in the way that Dolly suggested, so as not to scare Amber away, that he's planning to spend more time in Singapore because he has decided to do that. And he doesn't quite get it right. He says, I'd like to spend more time in Singapore with you.
Yes.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, and then we don't get to see her response, so now we're gonna have to wait until next week. I'm really hoping that this doesn't blow up the way that we've seen the other couples
Yes.
in this episode, but I wanted to make mention of, when they were talking about their experience together, how that it was like an intensive dating camp. And then Harold says something to the effect of, there's been lots of laughs and tears. Amber was like, wait, 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 no, we haven't had any tears unless you mean tears of perspiration.
Yes.
Like they were just so rich with one-liners on this one. I thought again, it's Harold. It's just a joy. I love watching the two of them.
Yeah. There's no anguish watching Harold and his dates as there is with Monica, who's making stupid choices, or with the two ladies in Ireland who are dating stupid men.
Hmm.
It's pure joy. And I love it. And I want more.
Me too. Me too. I mean, now he's been on 2 seasons. Fully, he doesn't have to be on a 3rd unless it's like Match Me Abroad, Happily Ever After.
Shall we read on?
Yes.
Because now we get to talk about Sarah and EJ.
Mhm.
They have their final date. This is the eve of her going back to the United States. They're going to go have dinner together at what seems to be a very lovely restaurant. And Sarah is really feeling EJ. You can see it. She's into him.
The way that she looks at him.
Yeah. She wants to lock it down. So she wants to have her answers, especially with regards to the 2-year plan that EJ has versus her 1-year plan for children. But first, does he want to go to the US? And his response, I was like, not buying this. He does not seem enthusiastic. If I was to be completely honest, I would say that he was just stringing her along for this. He doesn't want to go to the States because you don't say, "Oh, I'm going to wear a cowboy hat or go to the rodeo." No,
Don't you?
I don't. I would have thought a more appropriate response would be, "I can't wait to see you in your hometown on your home turf."
Okay.
I don't
I
know.
I
Did
can
you
see
think it was
that.
genuine?
I think I was more focused on everything else that came out of her mouth and not so much his response because I think I've already decided in my head that they're not a thing because she starts going on about how she's second guessing the long distance.
Yes.
Well, why didn't you think about that before you decided to match with a man in Singapore? He's in Singapore. How many times have I said that this week? She chose to go there. I assume that that was her choice. And like, why is this a thing now? And I think that EJ was being really realistic about his timeline. And I really don't think that compromising on a timeline to have kids is really, I mean, it doesn't always work out the greatest. I can understand why she wants to push for it to be sooner because she is in her late 30s. EJ's what, 44? He's in his early 40s and he doesn't have that timeline. So, do you really want someone just to be like, "Okay, yeah, I'll have kids with you in the next year," and then keep stringing you along?
Of course not.
No. Why don't you find someone who wants to have kids within your timeline, but also give yourself the space to, establish your relationship before you immediately jump into parenthood together? Like, that's a huge decision. Is a year enough time to really know someone enough to have a baby with them? I mean, it happens all the time, but like,
Depends on the people. Because if it was Ara and Andy from, again, 90 Day UK, great, terrific. They've only been together for a few months and they're already married and everything is fantastic. It really depends on the people.
yeah. I think that, having kids is a huge decision. And if she can't accept his timeline, then that's that. Because that's one of their non-negotiables or her non-negotiables. She wants to have a baby within a year or to start trying for a baby within a year or whatever it is. But I was just seeing so much incongruence in their relationship, even though they did seem to be into each other. It's just these again non-negotiables that you can't compromise on. If that's your life goal, that's your life goal.
They totally need to be on the same page together.
Mhm.
Completely. Because with such a serious thing and with all of the distance between them, it's essential. But I feel like Sarah's not the only one who gets to say, this really isn't going to work. EJ can say it too. If he knows for sure that his 2-year minimum timeline is the only thing that he's going to accept, then why not say to Sarah, look, we really don't match up on this, and I can see how important it is to you. So even though we may have chemistry and we like each other, you should go look elsewhere because he seems to be very practical. And yet these words aren't coming out of his mouth. And Sarah seems to be lost in fantasy land where she expects everything is going to get answered now and everything is going to get answered in the way that she wants it to be answered.
And not just those answers, but also reality and timelines and stuff. Like, what if she has fertility issues? What if
Yeah.
he does?
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many different things that could happen, and it's going to compromise your timeline. You need to be a little more flexible. I'm not
Hmm.
saying flexible enough to, agree to be with someone who doesn't have the same timeline for kids as you do, but at least be on the same page, as you said.
Yeah.
And these two are definitely, definitely not on the same page.
No, no, they are not. And one of the things that could bring them to the same page, which Sarah doesn't seem to offer up, is that she has other options, which we discussed last time, IVF, so freezing her eggs, surrogacy. There are things she can do. She can have a baby on her own without EJ. So if they were really, really wanting to be in a relationship together, but this is the only impediment, then you would think options would be placed on the table. maybe I can freeze some eggs and then we'll see how our relationship goes. And if in 2 years everything is going smoothly and your business is taking off, then unfreeze the eggs and let's go. They just don't seem to have anything that they can reach as a middle ground. So to me, this is a done deal. They're finished.
Yeah,
There's no
I agree.
compromise. There's no compromise that they can reach.
I haven't seen any longevity or any sign of longevity between the two of them since they've started dating. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's been some enjoyable bits. Obviously, they've enjoyed each other's time, but realistically, this relationship is not going to work.
Yeah, I agree. That is it. Do you want to make final comments before we
I
go?
am very much looking forward to interviewing EJ on September 28th just to get his insights because obviously we've been picking apart his relationship for the last season. I think it's going to be very exciting. Although I'm not sure I'm ready for this to end, unlike um 90 Day UK. I think this one's going to be a lot more disappointing to see end.
Before we go, if you're enjoying the 90 Day Fiancé Honestly podcast, please subscribe to or give our show a follow. If you have an additional moment, please rate us and help other 90 Day fans to find our show. Thanks for listening.
Thanks everyone.
See you next week.